right, Bills go for win number 6 on the season, but they can't be sleepwalking out in Seattle. Welcome to the Buffalo End Zone Podcast, everyone. Kevin Carroll with you as always. Andy Young not with us today, but as always, our teammate Stevie Johnson coming in from the West Coast to join us as we look ahead to the Bills, Stevie, heading out to the West Coast.
Yeah, it's always a fun time when you get that trip to the West Coast, being the East Coast team, playing majority of your games on the East Coast. Then you get to go back west and you feel like, hey man, I got extra time. You know, you're just feeling good. And then you get to play the game that you love. So it's going to be a great game. I feel like for the Buffalo Bills going up to Seattle, they go sightsee. They will probably go to the market, get some food. Then they go handle their business against the Seahawks.
Some of that fish, right? What's that market out there in Seattle where they throw the fish around?
The fish market.
Yeah. Let's get into this, Stevie. The jumping off point is that we've noticed a problem with the Bills a lot during the season. And I mentioned, a play off of Sleepless in Seattle. The Bills can't be sleepwalking in Seattle at the start of this game like they did against the Titans, like they did against the Cardinals, like they did against the Ravens, like they did against the Texans. It bit them twice. They overcome it twice against lesser opponents. But here we go, another slow start next week, and then they dominated in the second half. But this is becoming too commonplace for this team, and players and coaches admitting it's on them. They got to snap out of this.
Yeah, and man, I love that you said that, and love that you put emphasis on it, because that's exactly what it is. We know we have the talented team. We know we have the dynamic roster from rookies to veterans that's on this roster. But it's just about bringing that energy every single game. Like, against the teams that we know we're going to win, that the Bills know they're going to beat, they beat them, they handle their business. But, we're on another level where we're only looking at certain teams, such as the Baltimore Ravens in this division, the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Houston Texans. Maybe we might have to see them later. Who knows? Who knows how that's going to play out? But we're looking at those upper echelon teams. So teams like the Seattle Seahawks, which is very talented, a strong defense, young in a sense. But if you let them get energy, they'll take it, because right now they're number one in the NFC West. But if you look at their record, let's break down their record. The Browns, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Broncos. So it's like they're not winning against the teams that's at the top of that's top tier. If the Buffalo Bills is a top tier team, we should smash these guys.
So what is it that the team can do? I mean, you're a former player. You're going out west. So this is the furthest trip I believe they're really going to be making this year. You have trouble starting off games strong, and it seems really apparent lately that they have trouble early but start to catch on in the second half. But the Seahawks, they're the number one passing team in all of the NFL right now. We can get to DK Metcalf, might not be playing in just a bit. But if I'm Josh Allen and company, I'm going into this one saying to myself, I got to put up points. And it's not just the offense that has struggled at the start of games. The defense has too, but they've come along. I mean, the Titans get out to a 10-0 lead. Wasn't really much for the Bills to overcome, but 17-0 lead by the Cardinals earlier in the year. Both those wins were at home, Stevie. This is on the road. You got the 12th man in the house in Seattle that you're going to have to deal with in this. So mentally speaking, you got to get ready this week before you even get on that plane.
Indeed, and that's pretty cool that you bring that up, because I was just talking to my buddies about that 12th man. They have that similar aura to the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia, and you know how that go when a team come in and you feel that energy. That's the same type of energy you feel as a former player going into Seattle. I like that vibe because it was similar to Bills Mafia. But one thing that'll get you is if you get sucked into that, they'll go up 17 points quick, and then it can be hard for you to get out of. But the thing that can balance that out is either having those players like in years past, you have a Diggs where you get him a ball, something quick or small or big, and then he gives that energy, some type of emotion or energy that goes a long way. I'll tie it into this year. Ty Johnson had one play early in the Sunday night game or the game against the Jets, and he was one for 12 yards, 15 yards. But the energy that he brought with that play, I think it helped the team overcome that first half. So those are big plays, and those are plays that fans make too by bringing that energy to the stadium. So Bills just got to be ready and on high alert.
If you're out there and you win the coin toss, you got to receive the ball, right? Or no, kick the ball off because you want the ball in the second half and maybe quiet down that offense. Because, Stevie, I think that this Bills defense matches up pretty well against what the Seahawks are bringing to the table. And, oh, by the way, they are familiar with Geno Smith from his time in the AFC East.
Yeah, and I feel like the Buffalo Bills are prepared for this challenge. It's just going to be about bringing that energy, and I think our guy who can do that is Josh. You know, he's getting comfortable. I feel like he's got enough reps with Amari coming in from this trade to be himself now, to open up and be loose. And I think we're going to see a whole nother level of the Buffalo Bills in this, I would say, like the second win, the second win of the season. Adding these pieces is great. Geno Smith has been doing great. Yeah, he's leading the league in passing yards. But it's like you got to think he was trying to make a comeback against the Detroit Lions, who's dominant out there in the NFC with a great offense. And then he's throwing against teams like, the Patriots and the Dolphins. So it's like we know how that go. So it's kind of deceptive. Those numbers and things are deceptive out there. And I think the Bills are going to have a field day against the Seahawks.
2-2 at home as well. So maybe that 12th man isn't quite what they used to be when they were making their Super Bowl runs right now. And you can see that happen. I mean, when teams aren't in the mix regularly, like the Seahawks have kind of dipped off, you can kind of see that. But, I mean, the Seahawks lost to the New York Giants at home. So it doesn't have that feel. And did you play in Seattle when you were with the I can't remember. I have a pretty good memory. I know there was a game where Tyrod was quarterback out in Seattle, but that's all I can remember.
No, I was with another team when I played in Seattle. I was with the 49ers at that time. And so that's kind of when I felt that energy of the 12th man. And it's real. But again, at that time they had pieces. They had Richard Sherman out there locking up. They had Russell Wilson out there prime. They had a big team, a great team at that time. And then you add that energy, just like how we have right now with the Buffalo Bills, and then you add that Bills Mafia energy. We're there. So that's why I don't see how they have us, I think, winning by 3 points. I'm betting the over all day on this.
All right. I think I'm with you on that. I think this game should be pretty fun. You mentioned Amari Cooper played a role in the Bills' win over the Titans. His first catch, a touchdown. Then he had some other really nice grabs after dropping his first target of the game. Now he gets another full week under his belt. I've been out at practice a few times. He's connecting. Nice. You see him hanging around and joking around with Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir.
Perfect.
So it looks like he's acclimating well. We don't get to watch most of practice. We just get to see the individual drills early. But it's got to be a lot for Amari Cooper now as each week goes on, getting more into the playbook, because he was already a very useful part of their attack against the Titans back on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's pretty special. I feel like I'm seeing the future in what we have with Shakir, Keon, and Amari. Like, that's a three-headed dragon right there. And then let's just say now that gives even more time for our guy Curtis Samuel to come along or fill out his position as a gadget type of player, who knows, or another player comes in. But with those three guys, Keon and having Amari and then having Shakir with the tight ends, Dawson and Dalton, like, we have a stacked team, a loaded team. And I'm excited for this upcoming game because, like you said, with an extra week under our belt, with Josh and Amari understanding that timing and that pace, and Josh really seeing, like, oh, wow, he really got us, he templed it down. Then with Keon, I mean, you're going to see an elevation of this team, and I'm excited for it.
Keon Coleman, Stevie, NFL Rookie of the Week for his performance, over 100 yards catching, got ripped off of that touchdown. But that's in place. Amari Cooper, I don't know where I saw it, but I glanced at something that said he might be a better fit for the Bills than Stephon Diggs actually was. That obviously remains to be seen. We got a lot to go before that. And then again, I've been a big fan of Shakir since he arrived here. He just looked the part, looked like a piece that would work out well with Josh Allen, and he's grown in that role. You mentioned Curtis Samuel. His injury was called a shoulder injury back on Sunday. Now it's being reported as a pectoral injury. Never had one. I'm assuming that that's pretty bad if you're a wide receiver out there catching, and not sure how much time he's going to miss, but he hasn't practiced at all this week. So maybe still develop. I mean, he's been snake bit, injury during training camp, and now this.
Well, just hearing that's good. You get that insight. I love it. You guys get that intel. I didn't know that. Yeah, Dylan, I've actually dealt with a strained pec and a dislocated shoulder, and it's annoying. It's aggravating, man. And to hear that he's going through something possibly like that, I don't know the extent. But yeah, with that being said, that just makes me think more about Mac Hollins. Let Samuel heal, not even rush anything, because who knows? Maybe we'll need you on that big 15-yard gain later on in the season or in the playoffs. So all good, no worries. But Mac, he's been showing and proving that he can play anywhere. He's a great utility guy, and he's willing to do whatever for the team. As you see him blocking, you see him running routes through. He's still getting acclimated also, and he'll find his role. So. That's why I'm just looking forward to this evolution of the Buffalo Bills team for this next half of the season.
Yeah, we still got to figure out a timeline for Curtis Samuel on how much time he might miss. But you also have the trade deadline coming up at the beginning of November. And if it's a concern, maybe the Bills go back in the market for another wide receiver. Or do you think they're in position right now where they have players who have been in the system on their practice squad who they can call up? Like, I don't want to make it seem like a panic move to go out and make a trade. I still think there's a place for Curtis Samuel, even if he misses like a month or so. But, I mean, it's been a struggle. And
yeah, it's been a struggle.
I don't want to be this guy to say this, Stevie. But
no, be that guy.
But I'm going to say that. Bro. It seemed like the offense worked better when they weren't trying to figure out a way to get Curtis Samuel the ball. Right. It seemed like once he was out, it was like, okay, we don't have to even think about that anymore. And I'm sure the coaching staff isn't like, phew, no more Curtis Samuel. Don't have to worry about getting him his touches. But it just seemed that way, that kind of coincided with things picking up more, especially with Amari Cooper there now.
Yeah, we can't force it. It's kind of like even when you can speak in it with a like coaching standpoint. When you had an OC who's all right, we're going to force it. We're going to try to get Josh to throw it a million times, and we seen how that worked out. It didn't work out. You got to have balance and you got to have patience. When I say patience, you got to let the offense develop. You can't force things. You can't force it to your rookie because we want to see him do great. You might have to run that ball a few times or 30 times. That's about patience overall, and that's what we have now. We got a balanced team. Now we got to have patience and not force things. And with that being said, with the trade deadline still on, I mean, yeah, it's a business. I hate to have people jump from this team and that team. You try to get settled, especially when you got a contender. But from a fan looking at the team now, you make those moves. If it makes sense, you go out and try to get an edge rusher. You go out and try to get another receiver. Who knows? Because just like the Kansas City Chiefs went and got may have gotten Hopkins.
Yeah.
They're not trying to get him for 150 yards and 160. They just want him to be smart and get in spots and be prepared for situations. And that's something that we may be looking for just to get that Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. We'll get to Hopkins towards the end and what impact he might have. But you talk about being smart with the football and all that. Josh Allen has not thrown an interception at all to this point through 7 games. I'm a superstitious guy, Stevie. I think a lot of athletes and a lot of people in sports are. I don't think it's like a pitcher throwing a no-hitter that you shouldn't talk about it. But when you look at how many interceptions Allen has thrown in the past, it's something to note 7 games in that he hasn't done it at all this year. But, with Josh Allen, eventually that's coming. And Allen even saying this week that, there are balls that you throw that shouldn't be picked off that get picked off. There are balls that you throw that shouldn't get, or now I'm getting ahead of myself, should get picked off, but end up not getting picked off. So there is a bit of luck involved with the 0 interceptions at this point. But it's really good to see that this has been a criticism of Josh Allen throughout his entire career is, he'll put up big numbers, but he's reckless with the football. He turns the ball over too much. He was loose with a football. I can't remember. I think it was Arizona to start the season and fumbled the ball. But 7 games in, no interceptions to this point is really good and really shows how far Josh Allen has come when it comes to making decisions.
Yeah, so good and bad, and then where we are. So the good, 0 interceptions. That's excellent. The bad, we saw in Houston, the guy, he literally dropped the 1 or maybe 2 interceptions. I was right there. So I understand where you're going with that, and I understand where Josh is going with it. He's humble with his answer. The one where Josh got it fumbled, I mean, I wouldn't say he was loose. He looked downfield, then he went to go break the pocket, and immediately when he went to break the pocket, guy was behind him. Tough, good play. The timing was off on that. But when you talk about now, with him not having any interceptions, that's just one less thing that he has to listen to in the media. That's just one less question that he's got to answer or make up a reason for. With having 0 interceptions, hey, I got 0. It's whatever. When you get 1, okay, that's good. Starting at 1 conversation number 1 during the 8th week of the season, that's cool. Other than as opposed to being having 6 or 7 interceptions and you answering this question all throughout the weeks, it's different. So I'm glad. I'm happy for him.
And I think that plays a big role into when you look at the Bills' offense right now so far this season. There's a lot of, they're not putting up the yards and the points like they have in the past and stuff like that. And I just think that that's maybe the offense isn't as sexy as it was in the past, but I think that's part of Josh Allen's smarts now. You'll see drives where he sees that there's nothing available. He'll get out of the pocket and throw it out of bounds. And I'm sure as a fan that might be frustrating that he's not taking those chances. But I think that's going to play a large role in their success. Yeah, maybe they're not putting up 40 points, 30, 40 points every game, but smart football gets you into the playoffs and can get you further into the playoffs and possibly to the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of in that mode of, all right, the offense isn't as cool as it had been a few years ago, but you keep winning games and you keep playing smart. That's going to pay off in November and December.
Absolutely. And I still feel like they'll evolve this offense because Josh, he understands there's another West Coast quarterback that I'm pretty sure he looked up to in Tom Brady. And what did he used to do? On highlights, you would see the big plays or whatnot. But if you watch the entire game, he instantly hit those check downs. He hitting them flats, those under routes. He's hitting those all day. And then it opens up Gronk over the middle. Welker doing a crosser, who knows, Edelman. So you got to hit those check downs even more. And I think once he get even more comfortable with that, with this roster that he's got, with the Ray Davis and the James Cook, who's dynamic, and a Ty Johnson, it's just prime for him to become that Tom Brady type that we've seen in this AFC division.
The Bills are built to be that way with Absolutely. Ray Davis and Cook. And Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson's great out of the backfield. All 3 of those guys finding the end zone. We mentioned Keon Coleman, Rookie of the Week. You look at these rookies that are helping the Bills. Ray Davis, one could argue they don't beat the Jets if Ray Davis isn't out there on the field all the time. And then on defense, Dwayne Carter goes in for Ed Oliver and plays well against the Texans right off the bat and continues to grow and develop. So you have 3 rookies right now that have tremendous impact on the Bills playing well and winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. And love the Dwayne Carter shout out. I was one I was thinking about early, but I just felt like our D line was kind of stacked, and when he got drafted, but he definitely showed what he's supposed to be, and I think he's going to be an excellent talent for our team in the future. He's special, just like how I saw Dorian Williams, and we see what he's doing. I feel like Dwayne Carter is going to be one of those guys for us. Keep an eye out on him.
Let me ask you this. These rookies getting all this experience now, because you often worry, right? Like late in the season, the moment might get too much in the playoffs for a rookie or games that matter in December. I mean, these guys are in the mix. We already saw them lean on Ray Davis to run the clock out against the Jets. They used him against the Titans, I think, more than Cook in the second half as that clock ran down. Keon Coleman, to me, appears to just get better every week, and Amari Cooper is only going to help him, taking eyes away from him. So I just look at this group, and it's like, all right, come crunch time when you need to be counted on. If I'm Josh Allen and it's the playoffs and I got to throw a jump ball to Keon Coleman, I think he's going to get it, even if it's against the Chiefs in the divisional round.
Yeah. I think about peace of mind in this sense. Think about back then when I was playing, or even a little further back, when you had rookies come in that was actually playing. It was only probably 2 or 3 rookies that was playing a lot or making a significant impact. Nowadays, you're seeing 6 to 7 rookies that can be from offense to defense or special team that's making an impact. So when I bring this up, it just goes to show how the game has evolved. These players has evolved, and it's going to be so much better for the Buffalo Bills later on with 6, 7 rookies that's having a great time their first and second year. Imagine how it's going to look in their 5th and 6th and their 7th year. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, just competing with each other. Not even about the NFL, about, this is a big game, I have to do this. It's just competing with each other. Like, hey, I remember playing against you in this camp, this elite camp, or in college. They having fun. So it's you seeing a lot of evolution in the NFL, and we're all here for it because we got a lot of young talent on our team that we can grow with.
Yeah, I mean, Stevie, I've been watching the NFL since the 70s, late 70s, through the 80s, and I always remember, I mean, I think Dan Marino pops to mind as really doing well, but you look around the NFL with these rookie quarterbacks right now, and it's amazing how the impact these guys are having. One could even question the Patriots you were talking about didn't start Drake May right off the bat when you look at what the Bears and the Commanders have been able to do.
Yeah, and sometimes to go with that is roster. So with the Commanders, I feel like their roster is a little bit better than the Patriots. So in a sense, when you play a Jaden Daniels, he's around other playmakers. He's around other guys that's proven and ready to take that next jump. With Drake May, just analyzing the games, it looked like they're trying to protect him until they see if they have other playmakers to get him out there and sacrifice, him either getting sacked or getting hurt or whatnot. But until then, I guess now they say, forget it, let's just put him in now and let him learn, which is what they should do. I think he was number 3 overall pick. Let him go play then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it depends on team also. So, it's kind of luck of the draw, and it's just how that communication goes. And we've had that issue in Buffalo, but adding pieces helped that. When we added that Diggs, that elevated Josh to another level of situations that he got to learn and get comfortable in. Now he can fly on his own with anybody.
Yeah.
So I think with Drake May and the Patriots, they'll just have to find their roster for him.
Yeah, it's incredible. In the meantime, the Bills have their 3 rookies that are in there. We'll start getting a little bit more into the game coming up on Sunday, and we'll stay with wide receiver and talk a little bit about DK Metcalf. Played against the Falcons, injured, fighting, not practicing this week, but the Seahawks non-committal on what his status is going to be for Sunday, at least to the point where we're recording this podcast right here. How big of a deal is it if DK Metcalf can't go for the Seahawks in their high-powered passing game. I still can't believe Tyler Lockett is still with the Seahawks. For some reason, I thought he moved on, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is still there. But I think DK Metcalf not being out there would be huge.
Yeah, shout out Tyler Lockett, still handling his business. If DK Metcalf don't play, then yeah, we'll definitely beat him by 30 because we're not going to be worried about much, on that offense. You got to think about it. Is this a team that's going to compete for a championship? No, they're not. To be honest, they're just winning because that's just how the chips fell with them, and they took advantage of it. The Atlanta Falcons victory that was impressive. That was great. But that one victory is not going to propel them past the Buffalo Bills. I think we're way more prepared than what they think that we are. With this 3-point difference. I think we're just way more better than this team.
Geno Smith, I mean, his career kind of resurrected out in Seattle, but he's still a quarterback that I don't think scares many. Like, even though they're putting up all those passing numbers, like you brought up the competition they've been going against. Yeah, you got 4 wins, only 2 losses on the season. The Bills have 2 losses on the season. But I don't know. I mean, like I brought up earlier, you lost to the New York Giants at home. Come on.
Yeah, and it's more of a prove it thing now. Like, it's kind of a role reverse. We want to see our team come out and bring energy. We already know we can dominate the team, but we want to see our team bring energy so for later we can see and we can understand, okay, yeah, we got that spark in us. The Seattle Seahawks are trying to come out there and prove that they can beat us. We already know that the Bills know they can beat the Seahawks. So, that's just the way I see it and how I'm analyzing it. Uneducatedly, but that's just, as a player, it's just different mindsets. The Bills are on a whole nother mindset, and the Seahawks are just trying to get the Bills' attention.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, the COVID year, the Bills dominated them, and then the Seahawks kind of came back in it. Russell Wilson still the quarterback. I think there was like a Hail Mary in that one too. It seems like the Bills are constantly dealing with that. Bills at Seahawks, weather, Stevie, 50s and rainy. How big of a deal is that for players?
I think it's going to benefit us, because with our running backs, it's going to show patience. It's going to be our offensive line. I think it's going to be fun for them to be out there on the West Coast again. They get to, walk downtown, get a little food, that good fish. I feel like they know that it's going to be one of those games in the trenches, and with the pace and the tempo that our running backs are showing, I think it's going to be play to our advantage.
As you had mentioned before, Bills 3-point favorites in this one. I'm with you. I mean, 3 points, I get it. The Bills are the road team going across the country, but I just think the Bills are way better than the Seahawks. Although the last time I said that was before the Ravens game, and that kind of came back and bit me in the butt. But
hey, yeah. We was floating. We was happy and excited. I felt like we was ready. But again, if they would have came out with the energy, then I mean, what we said may have been true. We didn't come out with that energy. We was too flat.
Yeah. Got to come out with energy. Over under 47 points in this. Take the over. I say the Bills end up winning this one like 38-28, something towards that effect.
Yeah, I feel like the Seahawks may get 17 points. If they get over 17, I'd be like, okay, interesting. And, I definitely got the Bills at like at least 34.
Hey, while I'm thinking about this, before we start to wrap things up, Kaiir Elam, I know you were high on him going into this season during our training camp stuff that we did. Do you think he's going to get traded at this point?
It depends on what team is out there, and that's what they have to offer. In that sense, I'm huge on Kaiir. I love the skill. I love the physicality that he has. He reminded me of Stephon Gilmore. May be a little more athletic. You just got to let them go through that fire, which it's tough to have him go through when he's in and out. But if he does go to another team, I think people and fans will be excited for him and happy for him. And if he don't, I think we have something in store or in plan for him. We'll see. I don't know anything extra about his situation.
Right.
Just looking to see what happens next.
Just Christian Benford's been great. Rasul Douglas has been great. I mean, they deserve to be the starters. It might be a good insurance to keep Kaiir Elam around just because it's the NFL. You never know,
Yeah. You remember, I think that was the playoff game he came in. I don't think he played most of the season. Came in and he locked down, got an interception because injuries happen. Our teams in the past, we was dominant, and then next thing you know, we a few weeks into going to the playoffs, now we get a tough injury. It's like, we tough. You know what I mean? We down DBs. We only got new guys, which those new guys who played well 3 years ago are now like stars now. So
yeah,
we see how it goes. So if we do keep Kaiir, I think that's going to be it's going to pay dividends for us. And if we don't, I think it'll just pay dividends for him as being happy for another player.
That was such an interesting sequence against the Steelers. Elam comes in, gives up a pretty easy pass, and everyone's like, oh, here we go with Kaiir Elam. The very next play, interception in the end zone. Everyone now loves Kaiir Elam.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're a former wide receiver. I just think that that's part of being a defensive back.
Absolutely.
You're not just going to keep shutting everyone down on the regular.
Exactly. That's just like you seen Amari Cooper. He came out with his first catch. We know he can catch. We know he got some of the best hands, and he missed the first one. Was it easy? Was it hard? Whatever. It don't even matter what it was. It could have been caught. And that's the same with Kaiir with these DBs. That's why I have so much respect as a wide receiver. And you got to understand these DBs are trying to guard guys that's running 4.3s, 4.2s, shifty, strong, and they know where they're going, and you got to try to cover them. So, a lot of props to them. They do a little holding you're supposed to. That's a part of the game, and he's been flagged for things, but I think people understand the type of corner that he is, and he just got to find his system or his fit.
Now, those defensive backs are doing something shady every play. I remember from my playing days back in college, all my buddies were all defensive backs, and I was a wide receiver, and I used to scream at them after practice every day to just let go of my jersey. It's like they're water skiing behind you on a wet field, just grabbing on to the bottom of your jersey.
Yeah, hey, Kev being humble for the listeners out there. He got a picture on his desk with him space creating, looking so clean. Yeah, I'll put it out on the vlog, but yeah. No wonder why you was good like that, because you hung around the DBs. That's just how I was. So we're brothers. We're the same. That's why we got that.
They're all my best buddies still. We all still hang out all the time, but holy cow, were they cheap. Woof. Let's do a little 3 and out, Stevie. DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. Nobody wanted to hear that, but it is what it is. It's funny, during the game against the Titans, there was a point where DeAndre Hopkins wasn't out on the field while the Titans were still hanging around. And I said to myself, and I'm not saying I know anything, but I was like, I wonder if the Titans lose this game, if they're going to move him. If this isn't a disciplinary thing, it's we don't want you getting hurt while you're out there. And then, sure enough, a few days after the game, it's Hopkins to the Chiefs to get Patrick Mahomes another toy.
Yeah, and it makes sense. As a fan of NFL and a fan of competition and seeing the best play against the best, or seeing a team evolve into one of the best, I love the pickup. I love the addition. Again, we spoke on it earlier. I don't see it as him going to get 160-plus yards and things like that, but I see him as a cerebral player, an effort player right now. And when Mahomes either want to get the ball out quick, we know Hopkins is ready for and prepared for passes like that. We know that Hopkins is prepared to keep his effort going during a play that may have broken down. So I think it's a great move for Kansas City, and I think the Buffalo Bills should be looking at it and be hungry to shut that down and say, "We ready for you."
It looks like Sky Moore is injured and is going to miss some time for the Chiefs as well. We'll stay with wide receiver. Devontae Adams goes to the Jets. Jets lose to the Steelers. And ESPN reporting that Adams unloaded on the team after the game because he said the sideline was dead for the Jets. And if you want to turn the season around, I never pictured Devontae Adams being like that. But as someone who just gets traded to help a team win, I like it. Good to see. Yeah, you're new there. You've been there a week, but you came there for a reason, and it wasn't to keep losing.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for Devontae because I was so big and excited for him to join Aaron Rodgers again. Again, they'll make up for it when they go against the Patriots, and things may be swept under the rug. Who knows? We'll see. But what they showed when they came out on Sunday night, after all of that hype and this and that going on, and then you barely forced the ball to them, it was just disappointing. And then seeing the body language, the energy, and then the conversations afterwards, it just all ties in, and it shows like the team is actually looking at Aaron Rodgers, and you have to be that guy to bring the energy. Just like in Buffalo, we need Josh to be the guy to bring the energy. Ty Johnson, he brought it last week with that one play, but that's what they're supposed to do as far as those type of players. But Josh, you can bring that once you come out the huddle, once you come out the tunnel, you can have that energy. You know what I mean? In a facility, hey, you want to get a touchdown? How many you want to get? Let's bet or something, this and that, whatever. Have fun with it, but that's the energy that we need, and that's what's going on. So I'm a fan of everything that's going on, but I just want to see more from Rodgers actually getting it to Devontae. And I want to add on this just before we end, because there was a lot of heat on Garrett Wilson. Now, from a receiver perspective, the passes was so soft. When he threw the pass and that got picked off on the sideline by Beanie Bishop, it's one of those wheel routes, and the pass was so soft it looked like it was going to get picked off from the jump. So when it went through, that was a surprise for Wilson.
Right.
That was tough. And then it went over the middle. That was another soft pass. He's got a crosser route, and that should have been over the top. It was underneath. So they saying, he should have went back and this and that. But when the play is designed for a certain way, you expecting it a certain way like it is every week. And then when it come out with little time to react, you can't really blame that receiver. So I just want to put a lot of attention on Aaron, because when a team turn around, he's going to get a lot of great attention. But right now it's on him to put it to change it, and I want to put the pressure on him.
I love it. I agree with you 100%. Receivers do no wrong in my book. It's the quarterbacks that just don't put it where it's supposed to be. Before we head out, Stevie, Yankees or Dodgers World Series?
What? I got to keep it real and go with L.A., man. I'm out here in L.A., San Diego. Shout out to the Yankees, but that's not the Toronto Blue Jays. So, it's all love and all good with the East, but I'm going with LA on this side with the West. All
right, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I'm going with the Dodgers as well. We have the Bills at Seahawks, a 4:05 kickoff our time out here on the East, coming up on Sunday. Following that, Stevie will be back with me for the Buffalo End Zone postgame show as we'll wrap around the locker room, hear from head coach Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. That will come up basically 10 minutes after the game ends out in Seattle. For Stevie Johnson, I'm Kevin Carroll. As always, thanks for joining us, everyone.
I'm not.